to the Peter Siddle's Melbourne Stars. Yeah. I'm not sure whether we even need to talk to Sids about the Stars, Hodge, because he'll just be biased.
Yeah.
But I want to start by asking you about this whole, I guess, issue to perform. Particularly in recent times, we sort of feel like they've got this good team, certainly from a batting point of view, but you look at their results over even just the last couple of years, 6th last year, 8th the year before. Can you put a finger on why they haven't performed perhaps to their potential?
No, I can't actually. I don't know the inner sanctum that well enough to be able to dissect it as hard as what we should, but I'm not quite sure. Having a look at the players, I don't think they've had enough. They've had the power, and they haven't had the consistency of everyone playing together either. So we've had Maxwell out, we've had Stoinis out, we've had Cartwright out. There's been a few players that have been out for the whole tournament or periods of that, which has enabled them not to gel enough. I like this side. Whether Sid's here or not, it's going to be biased or not. I tipped them on the spin last night to actually be champions. Going on what you just said, that the list looks good, they should play well. But I think one thing that they need to do is really make the MCG a bit more of a fortress, like we just talked about the Perth Stadium. I don't think they've been so successful in that venue that they should be. Like, it's a really unique venue where it's wide, square of the wicket. The wicket sometimes can be challenging. It can be fast at times. So that's something that they really have to adapt to. They certainly need some leaders to stand up and take the train where it needs to go. Like, I'm just not sure they've been that real desperate to actually win. That's what I want to see. I want to see some desperation and bring the fans on board and really show the fans what they're thereabouts to do.
It's interesting you've talked about the unique size of the ground and the dimensions of the ground. Back when you were playing for Victoria, it was seen as a real strength in playing the venue, the long square boundaries, making them play out to the sweepers. It worked for Victoria a lot of the time. But then when you look at the Stars team at the moment, there's not a lot of Victorians actually in the team that actually know how to play the conditions.
Got brought up by a good friend of mine, Gareth Smith, who's a cricket leader at Hailbury, and that was one of his frustrations, actually. And I think that's actually been their downfall over the period of time. As I said, talking about people playing under pressure and knowing what your mates do in that instance, I think if you said to every Victorian, they'd know how they react under pressure when they're trying to score runs in the middle. And then that just is dissect. And now you've got people from all over the country coming to try and fill a void in a Melbourne side. I just don't think it's worked. So that's a real test for the coach and the management and the leaders to be able to make that happen and gel. And only time will tell again.
So, Sid, just going into the environment, now you've been back in there for 5 minutes, so it's a bit unfair to talk too much about the culture of the team.
This is the turning point, Adam. This is it right here.
He is the Victorian coming in. But when you see players coming from Western Australia, coming from Tassie, they're sort of, really important key players coming from different parts. How do you actually build a culture where you can actually have that trust in each other?
Yeah, and I think the squad now has been together long enough, like the key players, like you're saying. I think it's just about, sort of getting them to understand, why Victoria was successful there. That's probably the hard part, to try and get that across. And like Hodgie said, Maxi probably hasn't been around. He's played a lot of cricket there. He's played the most cricket there, but around enough at different times to be able to ingrain that in some of the other guys, how to play those conditions, how to play that stadium. So I think, it's just about developing that, because if you look at, Stoin played Victoria, but then has played at the Stars for a long time. Hiltz has played there for a long time. Bo has played there for a long time. That's the middle order. I think it's just about, getting them to understand how to play it, which they do to an extent. But it's exciting. You got Harps and Tommy Rogers now. Yep. Will get opportunities throughout that hopefully, like you said, through that middle order, they can control the game and know how to work that field, because it is different and it is an easy way to bat, and we've seen Maxi do that a lot over the years. So, I think it's just about it being exciting. Enjoy what's going on. Obviously, a new captain in Stoin.
How do you think he'll go?
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a nice little freshen up. I think Maxi did it for a long time. Now he can just go sit back, enjoy his cricket. Obviously, firstly get fit, but then enjoy his cricket and just play the game. And I've seen with Victoria this year, when he's done that, he's been very relaxed in the field, and he's actually just had a great time playing. So I think it'd be good. See Stoin stand up and be a leader, and I think it'll help his just all-round cricket. wanting to stand up and lead by example, which is something that he likes to do anyway. Now he's captain. Let's see him show that, and I'm looking to see him have a really good season.
Where would you have Marcus Stoinis in the batting order, Hodgie? Because we've seen him have that amazing season at the top. But then when he plays for Australia, it's more in the middle. And even last year for the Stars, it was more in the middle. Where should he play?
It's a tough question, isn't it? And probably only he can answer that. I think he should actually bat at the top for the Melbourne Stars. But then I know the conundrum that most coaches would face, because there's not too many people that can clear the pickets like him. We saw his last innings for Australia against Pakistan, where he just smashed them all over the park down there at Blunston Arena. So it's that. So what do you lose to pay off that sort of loss? I think that if you go and say, Marcus, can you open the batting and make 450 runs like Matt Short does at Adelaide, then I reckon that's a pretty good offering. So he might take that upon his leadership. I think he'll be a really good leader for the Melbourne Stars. And it might allow him to bowl a little bit more as well. Might just push through a little bit more with his body. He has trouble backing up, so he'll be able to manage that quite well. But yeah, maybe straight to the top with that middle order though. It still hasn't quite nutted out how to line up on that MCG. So yeah, that's one of the other things. The other thing is that Bo Webster's in really good touch as well. So maybe that void in the middle with Maxi can be replaced, and the Hilton Cartwright come in and play that 6 role, which frees Marcus up to go to the top.
I've got a feeling Tom Curran's going to be really important. I mean, he's been important for the Sixers, so I'm only stating the obvious, but I think he's bringing something to the Stars that they haven't had.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've always seen it. When I've come up against him, it's always been that player that comes in at 6, 7, 8 for the Sixers, and you'd be like, oh, you think you've got him on the ropes, and then he comes out and gets 40 off 20, and it's like, that's with the bat. And he's taken the game away from you there, and then he comes out with the ball, and, on his day, is one of the best, defensive players. Like we were talking before, that's where his real skill is, I think, defensive through the middle, but then when he's on with the finishing at the death, can be quite tough to get away. So, yeah, it's exciting to be on the same team as him. I think, he fills a good part in any team, and he makes up a great position in the Stars lineup for balance. And I think something that they've probably missed, and they probably floated around with sort of with Bo Webster and sort of Coulter Nile over the last few years. You've got a player that probably fits into that genuine all-rounder position a lot better, and suits T20 cricket.
I like their overseas players. I think they've got a real good trio there with Tom Curran, as you mentioned, Duckett, who I reckon is going to be outstanding at the top, and Osama Mir, who I reckon is an underrated leg spin bowler. So they've got the recipe there. There's no reason why they shouldn't succeed. And if they don't succeed, then you have to ask some serious questions in about 6 weeks' time, and we'll be able to hit City up pretty hard as to why.
So as we wrap up the Stars, how many games do you think you will play? Are you hoping to play all of them, half of them, rotating with Scotty as you do for Victoria? Where do you sort of see yourself?
I don't really know. And I think, but like similar to the Victorian stuff, and like we spoke about earlier at the start of the show, is that I'm ready to go. I know I haven't got many games left, so when I'm in, I'm ready to go and perform. And so who knows? Scotty, the chances of getting him is probably pretty slim, maybe until the back end of the Aussie stuff. So we'll see there. But get me in your super coach, I reckon.
Very good. We'll talk about that later on. So you reckon they're going to win it? That's your tip.
Well, they should, yeah. And they're due after 14 years.
What if Maxi goes to Sri Lanka?
Well, there's a good chance of actually doing that, yeah. Look, that's one player, and I know it's a huge player, but, and we've said it, the list is there. There's enough quality in that lineup to be able to get the side into the finals and then have a tilt from there. So whether they'll finish 1 or 2, I'm not sure, but it's definitely a finals team.